welcome to Angling for You. Today you join me at fantastic Oakland Waters, which is in Gowdall, which is sort of near the Eggborough power station, around that kind of area. Lovely venue. It's got about four different types of ponds, one including a specimen pond for catfish and big carp. Got this lake we're on today is a horseshoe, so this is more of a match sort of style. Sort of like it says, horseshoe kind of shape. Got a strip pond behind us, and then a bowl-sized pond behind that one. So, as you can see from the peg in front of me, I've chose a peg. I don't really fish it very often. In fact, I've never fished it in summer. But I fancied just sort of a day with a difference today, and it's just going to be a simple waggler fishing video. I'm just going to fish double maggots and feed maggots up in the water. We'll show you the sort of setup, and we're really after anything that swims. I know there's carp and tench and things like that in here, and nice hide, but to be honest, it's absolutely jam-packed with small fish, so that's what I'm sort of expecting to catch. The method's really simple. It's just going back to what we always used to do as kids. There's a lot of this carp bashing and commercial fishing, which I absolutely love myself, but it's nice just to have a day relaxation, sort of put some double maggot on and that sort of not know what you're going to catch. So this video is really mainly to help people that are getting into fishing, and the way of showing you how to set your waggler up, but sort of back to basics a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'll pick up the waggler rod, and we'll go through sort of what we look for in a waggler, size wise, and what we're actually looking for in the gear that we're fishing. Now, the waggler that I've got is a Daiwa Yankum bag. It's a 13 foot, which is pretty much standard for wagglers. This is sort of the match pellet waggler, so it's firm, but it's bent. It's got a lovely bend through action. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and buy expensive rods. This one's about £70, so it's sort of early mid-range. It's lovely rod to fish with. So not expecting you to go out and buy expensive rods, but what I would say is if you get a chance to pick one up and sort of get one that put a reel on it and get one that balances sort of like that. The reason that happens when you get the cheaper rods is that they tend to be softer and bouncier, so on the response they're not very stiff, and the actions sort of can fail a little bit. So what we want to do is get a reasonable, for your price bracket that you can afford, rod, and again with a reel. This is a 3000 reel, which is a Daiwa Ninja. You can get them for £35–40 now. They've really gone down in price, but they're a fantastic reel. The front, I'll just lift it over this tree. They've got a front drag on as well, which is essential for me for my fishing. Rear drag, obviously you can adjust by a screw knob, but as you can see, the drag's set there. The fish can take up the slack straight away, and it's already set, and I can just twist it to tighten it if it's all snagged up. So that for me are the two most essential. All I would say is you don't have to break the bank, but try and get the best for what you can afford. Go to a good tackle shop, they'll talk you through a good setup, but around 13 foot should pretty much do everything that you need to do, really. So going down to the setup, there's lots of different ways of pegging wagglers on, and I'll just get a couple out here to show you. There's I've got a lot of wagglers here, and extra wagglers, and these ones here are called loaded wagglers, and as you can see there's sort of a brass end on it, and that means that they're pre-loaded, which means when they're on your line they're already pre-cocked, so they usually cock up to roughly about there, and then you can just shot around the float or put a float stop on there to allow you to get that on. So the way I've done is I've gone with an unloaded, because I want to be quite accurate with my casting today. If it's, you're not chucking a long way and you've sort of got an open space, then yeah, fair enough, but I want an unloaded one so I can put quite a bit of group shot to get that accurate and down the side of these lilies. So it's important that. So as you can see, what I've done is I've grouped the shot up together. It looks quite a lot of shot, but and I could have put a couple of BBs, but I've spread the shot out so when it hits the water, the float just goes straight down and cocks immediately. I've got a little bulk just slightly down below that as well, and that just sort of puts that float in place pretty much as soon as it hits the water. And then I've got about a foot, maybe 13-14 inches worth of line down from that to the hook, and that's the part that I want to slow fall through, and that's where the fish hopefully will intercept it. Now the main line that I've got today is 5-pound Daiwa hypersensor. It's just a line that I really get on with. Maxima as well, I've got that on a few reels. And it's a sinking line, so again it's you're looking to hit the water, stick the tip in the water, just a couple of fast reels and a snap up, and then you float and the line is sunk, which we'll go into when we cast. And I've got that down to sort of probably an 8-inch hook link, and that's 3.8 pound of hook link down to a size 16 hooks. I'll just get the packet for you. There we go. So it's the Waggler pellet hooks. They're just standard Drennan ones. Really quick and easy. And I like the pellet hooks because you can get the maggot ones, but I've beefed it up a little bit because there is some carp in here, and the pellet hooks are really thin and fine, allow you to obviously hook expand the pellets. So they're really sharp, and you know they're perfect for fishing the maggots. So in regards to the preparation of swim, all I'm doing is I've got the mixed maggots and a little catapult. They're the only two things you really need, and all we're doing is putting those maggots out of the side of that island. So give it a little bit of feed before you start, a couple of sort of pouches before you actually start your session, just while you're setting up. Unfortunately we're getting plagued a little bit by ducks today, which is not a pain, but that's fishing. This is fishing this as well is a similar way. If you want to put a bait band on there and fish a little hard pellet as well, you could do that with this setup. So what I'll do is I'll get some bait on. We'll get some more bait out there, and we'll give it a go. Right guys, so we're going to get some bait on now. So a little bit of advice is just give yourself a little bit of line when you're putting your bait on. Don't want to be tight against your hands when you're trying to bait up. So I don't know why, but I always like a white and a red maggot. Always have, unless I'm targeting a specific species. For example, perch, where I'd have a double red. I always do. So on my rod there's a little sort of hook there to allow me to hook the bait on while I just put a pouch out. Piece of advice, if you haven't got that, get a piece of pole elastic and tie it in a loop, or get an elastic band, put it onto the sort of shaft of your rod around here, nice and tight, and when you need to hook on, just pull that and then hook your hook on it. Really simple piece of advice, but great, really is easy. So what I'm going to do first is just sort of put I'd say half a pouch of maggots down. Half a pouch of maggots, and we're gonna cast this. Give yourself sort of a couple of foot of line, so you don't. See, this rod's easier to cast. Hit the water, just give it a flick on the tip, and that just sticks the line under the water. Sort of a quick turn and a flick, and that will sink that line. Just means that when your float does go, it's sort of direct with the fish. So put another pouch on, and now we're into a fish. Nice little roach to start the session, and this is the sort of the stamp that I'm expecting to catch. Silvers and sort of around that size, but it's not about catching massive fish all the time. It's just nice to go to a venue and not know what you're going to catch. You know, there's a chance of us catching a carp, because they'll, you know, when the little ones feed off, they'll come into that sort of that sort of setup, and you know, they'll swim through and see what the commotion is, and we end up hooking a carp. Hopefully we'll get onto a bit bigger stamped silvers. You never know. You never know what you're going to catch. You never know. And certainly for the nearly probably 10 or so years that I fished, I don't think I even had a pole. I might have had a whip. Full of small fish, and obviously it's got some slightly bigger fish in there. I know there's some carp that go up to double figures in here, but it's just fishing how it should be, uncomplicated and enjoyable, and that's what fishing should be like. Let's give it another cast. Now, have you noticed I haven't fed straight away, and that's really because there's birds everywhere. So what I'm going to do is hit the water first to scare them away, and then I'll feed and pull back into it like we did with the last fish. And that last fish that took it didn't even sort of, because it took it shallow, it just took the rod round, and it didn't even need to do anything. Nice little roach there to swing him in. It's a great thing, you sort of, you know, you catch a nice carp and then you're back to roach, and then you're onto a different species, and just good fishing. lovely fish to end with. Yeah, so as you can see, had a great day, catching lots of fish all up in the water. Just a great method to use, and you know, it's more about the setup and the actual method itself, rather than, you know, what you got on the hook. It's that can be tailored to whatever venue you go into, and it was more important that we just had a look at sort of the waggler, the rod and the reel, because a lot of people get that wrong, and I fish a lot of venues where people fish for 3 and 4 pound carp with a massive, you know, 2.5 pound Tesca rod and massive eyes like this on it, and it's not needed. You know, I've even fished this in the river, catching bab up to nearly 8 pound, and you know, 5 pound plus chub on fast runs, and you know, as long as the line matches the situation, it's you know, you can have some great fun. So thanks for watching anyway, and come and join us on the Facebook group at Angling For You, and the Instagram at angling_for_you, and obviously give us a like and a subscribe if you can, and share with your friends. Thanks a lot, guys.